Morning, everybody. Glad to have you here today. Thank you for joining me. Hope you've had a great week. And now you can look with me in the 27th chapter. We'll be beginning there. Paul finally is on his way to Rome. I'm not even sure if we actually know how long this process is taking. There's not a whole lot of time marks in there, but I think you know from studying through it that it's been a while. But he's finally on his way to Rome. And it says, when it was decided that we should sail for Italy, they delivered Paul and some other prisoners to a centurion of the Augustan cohort named Julius, and embarking in a ship of Adramyttium, which was about to sail to the ports along the coast of Asia, we put to sea, accompanied by Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica. The next day we put in at Sidon, and Julius treated Paul kindly and gave him leave to go to his friends and be cared for. So we finally again have Paul on the road. It was finally, I think it would have been accurate if Luke would have inserted here, when it was finally decided that we could go. What we're about to enter into is a really cool chapter in a lot of ways, not just for what happened, but for the storyline, the scenes, the drama that's going on. Some of this it has to be true, because I don't know that we could have made it up. It's just a fascinating chapter that we're about to dig into. It actually gives us probably as much or more detail of shipping in that time than any other source that we have. Tells us again about the shipwreck. Again, it's really one of the most detailed anywhere about the issue of shipping during those years. But above and beyond that, most of all, it is just a great picture of how we trust God and His compassion and care, strength when we go through terrifying trials. And so we're going to start on this journey now. And again, it's a rugged ride. It's a rough trip. But his trip begins to Rome, and this will be, we talk about Paul's first missionary, second missionary journey, third missionary journey. This will be Paul's last journey. He will never come back to Palestine, or at least not in the book of Acts. I mean, I guess it could be something else that comes along. I don't, something that's not recorded is what I should say. But as far as we know, his journey is over. So let's look at how this journey gets started. Again, Paul and some others. We don't know how many, but Paul and some other prisoners are loaded up, and Julius is the man, the centurion, who is being in charge. We can assume that there are these prisoners, that there are others like Paul who have appealed their case to Caesar. There are probably some that, as we know, the history of the way the Romans did things, some of them have probably been sentenced or condemned, and they're going to be in some of the shows that they put on, with putting people to the lions and battling the gladiators and those kinds of things. And so there's some of that going on. Again, it's kind of interesting that on one hand, the Romans have this system where men are put into the shows with the gladiators, but on the other hand, they have this kind of nice side that says, "Listen, we won't just condemn you. You have the opportunity to appeal to Caesar." And so it's kind of a weird show here going on. And again, the Paul. Another thing that kind of stands out is here Paul, his great crime is preaching Jesus. These other prisoners are most likely murderers, and other such horrible crimes, people who have been deemed unworthy or useless, unnecessary, and again, Paul's threw in with that same group, lumped in with these kinds of criminals, headed for most likely persecution, even death, along with these kinds of people. And they head out, and they start out from Adramyttium, which was on the Asian coast, and it's running along the coastline and pulling in, it looks like, at different ports along the way, and picking up cargo, maybe picking up even more prisoners. And they're moving along, and we'll learn later that they're actually looking for a larger ship as they travel along. We also notice another little detail I want to point out to you is in verse 27 it says, and we. Verse 3 it says we. Verse 2, we put to sea. And so Paul is obviously being accompanied by Luke during this time as Paul was traveling along. Luke has kind of been absent from the scene since about chapter 21 when the mob attacked him, but here the we part of the story begins again. And I think that's interesting. And a good lesson for us, even though it's not stated clearly, but kind of in the background there, that when Paul is about to set out and face his greatest trial and stand before Caesar, Luke is there. That Luke stands with him, that he is traveling along. We also see down in verse 2 that Aristarchus, a Macedonian, joins them as well. And so Paul's friend stuck with him during his, some of at least, his darkest hours. And again, there's a lot of little things that if you just kind of peel around and dig around a little bit, you see, obviously Paul had impressed Julius, who allows the Roman guard treats him kindly and allows him to leave the ship. And we'll see later, and I get ahead of myself here and tell you the end of the story, but eventually the ship's going to wreck. They're going to crash the ship. And the guards are scared. They're going to kill all the prisoners because if they let a prisoner get away, then they die. And so, but Julius treats Paul and allows him to go ashore and see other people. And so we see the favor of God on Paul. Paul's good demeanor with the Roman guard. It's just an interesting little piece of the story as we head into it. But I really want to stick in your head. I really want to hope it hangs on for a little bit. Is this fact that Luke and Aristarchus stick with Paul? They go with him. That's I've always heard the mark a real friend is the one that walks in when everybody else walks out. And it appears in Paul's life that everyone else has walked out but Luke and Aristarchus. And I challenge you to be that kind of believer, that kind of friend to other believers, that you're the one that walks in, at least one of the ones who walks in when everybody else walks out. That we, again, how can we be more like Jesus when the Bible tells us he's a friend that sticketh closer than a brother? And so if we really want to be like Christ, that's the kind of person, the kind of love, compassion, friendship that we want to demonstrate. Let's be that kind of friend to our friends. Think about it. You have a good day here, and we will see you tomorrow morning.